Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, hello, my comic book friends. And welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, I'm going to have a look at something a little on the fun side. And this, is this time I'm going to take a look at DC Comics. Debbi. No, not Debbi Does Dallas. This is Date with Debbi. This is Date with Debbi, number 14. It's a 64 pager from 1971 from DC Comics. This is a pretty rough one. The whole cover has come detached, but it's still perfectly readable. Unfortunately, nobody but Archie still produces the teen humor comics, like I said, which is unfortunate. And it's getting harder and harder to find some of that stuff that was published by other publishers. Okay, Date with Debbi is a romance humor series comic book from DC Comics, which ran for 18 issues from 1969 to 1972. It featured the types of stories and art better known in the Archie Comics line. But both DC and, at various times, DC and Marvel had their own versions, and since those are all a little harder to come by, it's nice to see some sometimes. The title is homage to DC's long-running series, Date with Judy, which ran from 47 to 60. And I think I talked about that once before, but I'm not positive. It also recycling some covers and plots from the older titles, because the covers are have always been basically just like in most Archie titles, basically one or two panel gag cartoon, as this is. There was a spin-off title called Debbi's Dates, which ran for 11 issues in 69 to 71. DC canceled their entire humor line in 1972. Kind of wish they'd bring some of it back. Date with Debbi featured the work of a variety of writers and artists, using what one could call the Dan DeCarlo stylization pioneered at Archie and Marvel. Just some of the writers. Now, unfortunately, there are no credits in this book, so it's hard to tell. I suspect most of, if not all of, the stories were drawn in this one were drawn by Stan Goldberg, but I couldn't attest to it. It's some writers such as John Albano, Henry Boltinoff, Barbara Friedlander, just some of them, and a few of the artists were Henry Boltinoff, Stan Goldberg, Bob Oxner, and John Rosenberger. I like all of those. Well, I can't remember. I know his name, but I can't. Oh, okay. Now I know Boltinoff. I remember his stuff. But Bob Oxner and John Rosenberger were really good at this kind of stuff. And, well, they all were. But that's what I remember. So, let us go take a look at Date with Debbi. Doggone it. I just discovered I didn't get the pause button hit, and I've been talking away to myself. Okay, as I said, this Date with Debbi, number 64. Basically, the cover is basically a two-panel gag. Here's the redhead here is Debbi, and her frenemy, Mona. And clear up here on top is her boyfriend that she's smooching with. Is Buddy. It says, her friend said, maybe that dreamy new boy didn't get your note, Debbi. How did you send it? I tied it to a rock and tossed it in his bedroom window. And so she basically stoned him. He's stoned all right. And knocked him out. And the hair up here says, meet a little guy who's a big man, Jack Wild. And you might say, who the heck is Jack Wild? Well, way back then, Jack Wild was a young man who was an actor. He was a small fellow. But he was in the Tiger Beat set, and he was one of the stars of the musical movie Oliver, and was best known for his role of Jimmy on H.R. Puff and stuff. And he was in some other movies and stuff, and he had got into some trouble and the like. And I won't go into that. It's immaterial. Just on the inside of the back is a one-page text page all about Jack Wild. So let's go. Take a look inside. And here is Debbi going crazy in a telephone booth because she is a fiery-tempered redhead. Give me back my money, a rotten telephone. And then they have these little sight gags all the time, and this is kind of cute. The lady's walking with her dog. The dog is startled and slips the collar as the telephone booth is tipping over. Boom. And there we see, but the telephone landed right on the collar and the leash. So the lady thinks her dog's been squashed, but no. Here the dog is safe and frightened and hiding behind the fire hydrant. So this is where then her frenemy Mona, who looks just like Veronica from Archie, makes comments on her bad temper, Debbi's bad temper, and gives her makes a that face there looks like a John Rosenberger. Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, they makes a bet that she can't go 24 hours without losing her temper, and so she takes the bet. But she's sneaky, and Mona is sneaky and conniving. Wants to win the bet, so she goes to enlist the aid of her friend, who's a little dastardly fellow, kind of like Reggie. Benedict Whipple. And here's another little side gag. He's sitting on a park bench next to this other fellow, distracting him and stealing all his popcorn. And so she pays him to get Debbi to lose her temper. So he tries something here. It goes into the soda fountain, saying, "Oh, that's for Debbi." Said, "Is this for that party over there?" I said, "Yes." And I'll have a friend of mine. Let me take it over, okay? And then he puts hot sauce or ketchup or whatever on top of it. Says, "Does that make you angry?" Debbi says, "No, because it's not mine. It's this big old goon right here." So he gets pounded. And then they have another one that gets a big old firecracker and puts it under the bench she's sitting on. But she gets up and walks off. Oh, doggone it! The fuse fizzled out. And he goes, "Uh-oh, it relighted." He tosses it away, and it's done. And it's a cop. And so he gets in trouble, tossed in jail. Here's another little side gag where the guy in the cell with him is scratching. He must have fleas, crabs or something. And so he comes out of jail, and he's scratching. And then pretty soon, Mona's scratching. That's funny. Then they walk along, and he's just going to insult her. Just insult. And she, completely unfazed, says, "What's wrong?" And so Mona loses her cool. And he gives up and says, "Hey, what is it? Debbi can't hear a thing. Some nut exploded a firecracker in the park, and her ears are still ringing." So it's actually because of him that it didn't work. Now, I wanted to mention something. that Debbi always seems to have something around her neck. She early on here she has a dress with a real high collar. Then here she's got a cowl neck, and then later she's got scarves and cowl necks in there too. And then like the Archie books had the little Jinx one-page gags. This has Little Leroy. But what's so interesting is that Little Leroy is a little black boy. And that's, at that time was very rare. And then later on it has another Little Leroy story, one pager, but then it also has Big Sonny, who's Little Leroy's brother. So that is kind of surprising and forward thinking with the comics at the time. Not nearly as many black characters, but they got one. Then here we go. Show another one. See, here she's got a scarf around her neck, involving it's involved a dog, and all these guys up here with the seat of their pants bitten out, and trying to find her brother's dog, who got off the leash, took off, and he said he's a real friendly dog, but here he is. He's gotten caught by the dog catcher. She tries, but he bit his dog. But he is a friendly dog, but he just likes to take people's pants out. So she gets Buddy to help her go to the dog pound while he's fixing his britches. She wants to see the dog and said, okay, you can see the dog. And they put got a little scheme with a little transistorized speaker with a connection, and they make him think that the dog is talking to him because he's got a microphone. Buddy's got a microphone, is talking to him, thinks the dog can talk, so he gets him to let him out because he's a police dog trying to find somebody, bank robbers or something. But then he gets in trouble. She lets him loose, and he gets in trouble again. And pretty soon, the dog actually captures this by accident escaped convict. But then they're going to, so the judge is thinking he's going to be okay, or they're thinking that the dog's going to be okay, but he's chasing the dog. The dog is chasing the judge and got him by the seat of his pants. And there's more fun stuff like that. Here she's got another big old long scarf on. Here she's got another cowl neck. So she's always seems to have something around her neck. And here's the one-page text of Jack Wild. So there we are. Date with Debbi. We just looked at 2 stories. They had I think it was 5 stories in that 64-page special. But it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to see stuff other than this kind of material by other than the regular Archie group, because it's just a little different. I like some of the stuff from other stuff from DC, and like some of the stuff from Marvel, and kind of wish they still did some of that stuff. But Archie's got it locked up, and hey, I like Archie stuff. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of Date with Debbi. Have you seen very many of them? Because there aren't that many. Weren't that many issues. So if you've got them, if you like them, anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. And remember, comics are art.